History by the Hour, Episode 7, The Final Hours of Michael Jackson. The date is June 25, 2009. Los Angeles wakes beneath clear summer skies as traffic slowly begins filling the streets. Morning radio stations play music across Southern California exactly like any other Thursday. People drive to work, coffee shops open, news anchors discuss ordinary headlines, and across the world, millions of fans continue preparing for what was supposed to become one of the greatest comeback tours in music history. At the center of it all stands one man, Michael Jackson, the king of pop. For decades, his music had dominated the world in ways few artists ever could. Sold-out stadiums, moonwalks copied across generations, music videos that transformed pop culture forever. Even people who never followed celebrity news knew his face instantly, his voice, his dance moves, his legacy. But on this morning in 2009, inside a rented mansion in the Holmby Hills neighborhood of Los Angeles, something feels wrong, very wrong. And within only a few hours, the entire world will hear news so shocking that millions will remember exactly where they were when they first heard it. Because by the end of the day, Michael Jackson would be dead. 8 a.m. The mansion on Carrollwood Drive. Inside the large rented mansion on Carrollwood Drive, the atmosphere is unusually quiet. Michael Jackson has spent recent weeks preparing intensely for his upcoming This Is It concert series in London. The pressure surrounding the comeback has become enormous. Fans across the world are desperate to see him return to the stage. Promoters expect historic ticket sales. Rehearsals have become physically exhausting. Late nights, constant preparation, intense stress, and according to people close to him, Michael has struggled sleeping for days. Inside the mansion that morning, staff members move carefully through the house trying not to disturb him. Security guards remain outside. Assistants quietly prepare for another day of rehearsals. No one yet realizes that these will become the final hours of Michael Jackson's life. 9:30 a.m. Exhaustion begins taking over. As the morning continues, concern slowly grows inside the mansion. Michael reportedly appears physically exhausted. People around him notice signs of severe fatigue. The upcoming comeback tour has placed extraordinary pressure on him mentally and physically. Rehearsals often continue late into the night. Dance routines remain demanding. Expectations from fans and media feel enormous. And despite being one of the most famous entertainers in history, Michael Jackson appears increasingly fragile behind closed doors. Outside the mansion, Los Angeles continues moving normally. Cars pass through intersections. Helicopters circle above the city. Radio stations continue playing music. But inside the house on Carrollwood Drive, events are quietly moving toward disaster. 10:40 a.m., the situation changes. Around late morning, panic begins spreading inside the mansion. Something is terribly wrong. Calls for medical help begin urgently. Staff members rush through hallways. Confusion spreads rapidly among those inside the house. Emergency responders are contacted immediately. And within moments, paramedics begin racing through Los Angeles streets toward the mansion. At first, very few people outside know what is happening, but slowly, rumors begin appearing online. Celebrity news websites notice unusual emergency activity. Radio scanners mention a medical situation involving a major celebrity. And almost immediately, curiosity spreads across the internet. 11 a.m. Paramedics arrive. Emergency vehicles pull onto Carrollwood Drive. Paramedics rush inside the mansion carrying equipment through the front entrance. The atmosphere becomes chaotic. People move quickly through rooms trying desperately to stabilize Michael Jackson. Medical personnel begin performing emergency procedures immediately. Time suddenly becomes critical. Outside the property gates, photographers and reporters slowly begin gathering after hearing early rumors through media networks. Nobody yet fully understands the seriousness of the situation, but tension is building rapidly. Inside the mansion, paramedics continue fighting to save one of the most famous people on Earth. Noon, rumors begin spreading across America. By noon, entertainment newsrooms across Los Angeles begin receiving alarming reports. Editors interrupt normal programming discussions. Producers start making urgent phone calls. Television stations scramble for confirmation. And online, rumors spread faster every minute. Some reports claim Michael Jackson has suffered cardiac arrest. Others insist the situation is under control. No one seems certain. But millions of people begin refreshing news websites repeatedly trying to understand what is happening. Because even before confirmation arrives, the world already senses something enormous unfolding. 1 p.m., the hospital. Michael Jackson is transported to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. News helicopters begin circling overhead. Television vans race toward the hospital. Outside the emergency entrance, crowds begin forming almost immediately. Fans gather holding phones, cameras, and signs. Some cry openly, others stand silently in shock. And inside the hospital, doctors continue desperate efforts to save him. For many fans, the possibility feels impossible to accept. Michael Jackson had seemed larger than life for decades, not simply a singer, a global icon, a once-in-a-generation celebrity whose fame extended into nearly every country on Earth. The idea that he could suddenly be gone feels unreal. 2:26 p.m., the announcement. Then comes the moment the world remembers forever. News confirmation begins spreading across television networks and the internet almost simultaneously. Michael Jackson is dead. Within minutes, normal programming across major networks is interrupted. Breaking news banners appear worldwide. Radio stations stop regular broadcasts, crowds outside the hospital grow larger, and across the internet, reaction explodes instantly. Social media platforms begin slowing under massive traffic. Search engines experience record-breaking activity. Fans around the world stare at television screens in disbelief. For many people, it feels like losing a piece of their childhood in real time. The world reacts. As afternoon turns into evening, the reaction becomes global. In New York, crowds gather in Times Square watching giant news screens. In London, fans gather outside concert venues connected to the This Is It tour. In Tokyo, Paris, Mexico City, and countless other cities, radio stations begin playing Michael Jackson songs continuously. People who had not listened to his music in years suddenly return to it immediately. Songs flood streaming platforms and radio stations. Videos replay across television networks non-stop. And everywhere the same feeling spreads: shock. Because despite years of controversy and media attention surrounding Michael Jackson's life, his music had remained deeply connected to millions of people emotionally. His death feels less like ordinary celebrity news and more like a global event. Hollywood falls silent. By evening, Los Angeles feels transformed. Outside the hospital, crowds continue growing. Fans light candles, some dance to his music, others simply stand quietly staring at the building. News helicopters remain overhead for hours. Entertainment reporters broadcast live continuously through the night. And across Hollywood, conversations become almost surreal. Restaurants leave televisions on silently. Bars stop regular programming to show breaking coverage. Drivers pull over just to hear updates on the radio. For one night, nearly everyone seems focused on the exact same story because the world is struggling to process the sudden death of someone who had once felt almost untouchable. The final hours become history. As the night deepens, discussions begin shifting toward Michael Jackson's final days. Questions emerge about exhaustion, pressure, medications, the physical demands of preparing for a massive comeback tour at age 50. And slowly, the story evolves from breaking news into something larger. A cultural moment, a historical moment, a moment millions would remember for decades. As the news continues spreading through the night, television stations replay old performances from across Michael Jackson's career. The moonwalk, the stadium crowds, the screaming fans. Entire generations suddenly remember where they first heard his music. For younger audiences, he had always seemed legendary. For older audiences, he represented an era of pop culture that felt larger than life itself. And as candles continue glowing outside the hospital late into the evening, one reality becomes impossible to ignore. The world was not simply mourning an entertainer. It was mourning the end of an entire cultural era. Because on June 25, 2009, the world did not simply lose a celebrity, it lost one of the most recognizable human beings who had ever lived, and long after the headlines faded, people would still remember exactly where they were when they heard Michael Jackson was gone.